As you can see, it's quite a mess in here. I'm gonna show you how we get set up for cookie class. And we have Doughboy here to help us. First thing on the agenda is filling all the piping bags with royal icing. I have my cups, the piping bags, the colored icing. It is already brought down to the flood consistency for the piping bags.
Oh, hey, I didn't see you there. Me, what am I doing? I'm just using these trusty cups over here, filling them up with some piping bags, just to make it easier for Mick to fill them up.
I have my flood consistency icing and I'm just going to start pouring it into each of these bags, and as I fill each one, I'm gonna lift and I'll be able to continue pouring into the next one because all of the piping bags are stacked in the cup. And I usually give students around 1.5 to 2 ounces of icing. As I fill each one, I pass it over to Doughboy. He then uses a plastic edge and he scrapes down the sides of the bag. We are ready to tie off the bag. We don't physically knot the top of the bag. We use this machine instead. It's just going to add a tape seal around the end of the bag. So it's not fully sealed, but it's enough of a closure to work for class.
And this is what it looks like at the end.
Here you go, Doughboy. So I opened up my freezer where my cookie stash is, and I did not bake enough cookies for class tomorrow. I remembered that I brought a bunch of cookies over to my nieces to decorate, and I fear that that ate into the cookies I need for class. So we are going to bake a quick double batch, and we're going to bake off some cookies that I need for the students to decorate. All right, double batch of cookie dough is done. And now we're ready to roll it all out. I roll out my dough using a silicone mat on the counter. So when I'm rolling in between my parchment paper, it doesn't slide around. I use a rolling pin with size guides on the side, so all of my cookies are rolled at an even thickness. I do roll my cookie dough at about 1/4 inch. You can always roll it thicker or thinner, but I prefer to not go any thinner than 1/4 inch. I roll diagonally instead of straight forward and straight back. And this helps the dough reach toward those corners and edges, and then you can begin rolling forward and backward. Sometimes you might get wrinkles on the underside, and that's totally fine. I just flip it over, remove that paper, lay it back down nice and smooth, and re-roll. So I'm just going to keep rolling until this is all nice and even, and then we're going to chill it in the fridge. Nice and flat, all rolled out evenly. Perfect little disc of dough. I'm going to place this directly on my shelf in my fridge. I'm gonna let this chill for about 30 minutes. While the dough chills and the oven preheats, I'm going to stay productive. I have some pre-made icing transfers. I'm going to portion them out into some cups for the students. Another thing I usually do before class is refill the class handout section. We have some icing consistency handouts. I have handouts on storage and freezing, both icing and cookies. I have a standard supply list and some cookie and icing terms. Essentially anything we discuss in class, they don't have to commit to memory. This gives them the chance to just pick up the notes at the end of class. My students love handouts. Next up, we need to get the table all ready. So I have my tablecloth, and then we're going to set up each of the stations for the students. Every station is set up the exact same way. I have a placemat, and then I place down a tray. After I've laid out the placemat and the tray, I then put out a practice sheet at each station. This is what we start class with. We warm up with the piping bags using our practice sheet. That way we can build up some cookie confidence before we begin decorating on the actual cookies. Every station also gets a reference image, so I print these out, and this makes it a little bit easier for students to see details up close. We do always have everything on the monitor, but sometimes it's a little bit easier to reference the image. And students also like to take these home, so when they're decorating cookies on their own, they have some design reference. Then we have our scribe tools. So these are also laid out at every station. This is one of the most important tools that you'll need when you're decorating cookies. And then these are the portion cups that have the transfers and the sprinkles. All right, that was a really good way to kill time. I'm going to cut out my cookies now and start baking. So I have my chilled cookie dough in the fridge, and you can tell that the dough is chilled enough because when you pick it up, it's firm. It's essentially going to hold its shape. So when I lift it around, it doesn't flop, it holds. I can still semi-indent it, but it's not hard as a rock and it's not super soft. And my cookie cutter is ready to go. I'm cutting out some clovers right now. As I transfer the cookies with the firm chilled dough, it doesn't flop around or lose its shape as I transfer it from the cutout area to the actual baking sheet. And when it comes to the scraps that remain after you cut out all your shapes, I am going to just re-roll this, chill it once more, and cut it out again. That parchment sheet right back on there, and then we're just gonna re-roll it. Once it's rolled, it goes right back in the fridge. I grab another sheet that is already chilled and continue cutting out cookies. All right, so we have one tray filled, and now I'm just going to fill another one, and we're gonna get these in the oven and start baking. I like to prep my classes the night before. I get it pretty much fully set up. The only thing that will be missing from the cookie table is the piping bags and the cookies themselves. I put those out about 1 hour or less before class. Now I have both my trays filled, and this is literally the cookies that I need. That's it. I did not need a lot. I was short by just a little bit. So I'm gonna pop these in the oven, and then we'll be done baking. As I pull out the trays, they go onto the speed rack. That is a wrap for class prep. This is how I usually leave my table the night before class. That way I wake up on the day of class, I get ready, come down here, clock into my shift, and then we cut open the piping bags, we lay out the cookies, get it all situated, and welcome in the students.